What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Residual Earners Podcast, episode 5. We are ecstatic to be here, happy that you're here, and let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
You know, I got one thing to say. It's hard to believe this is number 5.
It's number 5.
Seems like we just started.
Wow.
That's 5 weeks worth of stuff.
5 weeks of great content, great information, and, I guess the saying's true. If you're having fun, time flies fast.
And it does fly fast. You know, the other thing that's going on is tomorrow night we're having a big leadership event here at the house. We're going to have 50, 60 people. We're flying a guy named Larry Raskin in that's going to get up and train us. I'm excited about that. You're going to be here.
I'm going to be here. Have a few guests coming.
I know.
The business is booming.
That's going to be fun. And Grayson's even coming.
Grayson's coming, which will always be interesting.
Speaking of Grayson, hockey season's winding down. I think he's got, a tournament this weekend?
We got a tournament this weekend, and, you may have already seen, we haven't decided yet, he may do the intro to the podcast. He's on property as we speak, really wanting to podcast today. So we're gonna try him out and see if he can welcome everybody to the Residual Earners Podcast and see how the little guy does.
That could be an experience.
It'll be everything with him is an experience.
He's hanging out with Mimi now, and he was wanting to fish, and that's really not her cup of tea. So it would be interesting to see how fishing's going with Mimi right now.
The kid can fish. For such a young kid, he thinks he's a professional when it comes to baiting a hook.
Mimi, which is my wife, his grandmother, obviously. She said, "What if I get a hook in me?" And he goes, "Oh, I'll pull it out." I mean,
you don't worry.
No, don't worry.
We'll get it out.
We'll get it out. I mean, it may rip 2 inches of flesh, but we'll get it out of you.
Oh man. That could be interesting right now, but hopefully we get him on the podcast. Everybody can meet Grayson. He's a cool kid and a lot of personality. So
yeah, for you guys that don't know, 6 years old, 6 years old,
6 years old,
playing 8 and under hockey. He's a good hockey player. All right, these folks got on because they want us to add value to their life, Jordan.
Definitely.
And I don't know if us talking about Grayson's adding a lot of value to their life. So
let's get into some team culture.
I'm in. I'm a firm believer in culture. I think culture is the biggest thing as far as companies go. I think that is the separator. If you think of companies like Apple, my gosh, they have a culture, and it's defined. And Steve Jobs got it going while he was still with us, and it still exists today. But if you think of the big companies that are really exploding and really making a difference, it's about culture. And something that I always talk to people about is your team, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a business team, whatever, it's going to have a culture. Yep. And that culture is either by design or default.
Correct.
You'd rather design your culture and have the culture that you want. I think that is the big key. You don't want it to just happen because it may not be a culture that you want.
Definitely. And you can have a positive or negative effect on it. And I think you need to, everybody on your team needs to know your culture. You need to, it's such a crucial part in everyone's positivity and how much harder people will work whenever they're happy to be somewhere. They know the culture. Everybody's on the same page, doing the same thing. It makes, you'll get leaps and bounds further down the road with a positive culture.
Yeah. And even think about sports teams, which is obviously up your alley. Some teams just always seem to be competing for championships, and other teams just always seem to be at the bottom of the pack. And in professional sports, they get good draft picks. If you're at the bottom of the pack, you would think that eventually get to be at the top, but it doesn't always work that way. And I think it's the culture that's set by the, the coach, the general manager, the owners. And I think that's huge.
Definitely. And you see a lot of teams, I think of Kansas City because of obviously the game the other night, but it's, the team gels, and then you see them off the football field getting along so well. You see everybody always happy. And it's not just because they're winning. Winning helps, but it's because the culture's there.
Right.
And when the team gels, you're going to win more games than if you have cancers within the organization, somebody that doesn't want to be there, that's running their mouth. That hurts the team chemistry. And, when the team gels and the culture's there, you get more out of it because everybody's pulling the rope the same way.
Yeah. And I think with teams, you can get by with one knucklehead on the team. you can't get by with a bunch of knuckleheads on the team. So,
100%.
I think the general managers that put those teams together that really gel and get along, they're watching who they're putting on there, not just ability wise, but also attitude wise. I think that is huge. I'm going to go through a couple of points here with you guys, Jordan and I are, that I think are huge as far as team culture goes. If you're wanting to be successful, especially in the networking realm, obviously this will apply to any business you have, but it really, we're focusing, on residual businesses, which for us is a network marketing business. I think number one, you got to have high energy. And you say, what do you mean by high energy? I think we make a decision to have high energy.
Correct.
I think it's a decision that you make. I think you've got to be the one that it raises that level up for your team. Can you think of anybody on your teams when you were playing there at ASU, maybe that they were just an energy guy? When they came out on the field, you felt different.
Well, I'm gonna throw it out there. My buddy, who's had his ups and downs here in the last couple of years, but Jake Borup.
Yes,
I mean the guy is just the most high energy guy I've ever been around. For y'all that don't know Jake suffered a major heart attack October of 22.
At 35 years old.
35 years old.
And he's a beast, too.
He's a beast.
6'5", 240, in shape.
Made it through, spent 2 months in the hospital, is still, getting on the other side of that. But Jake and I, in the last 6-8 months have played golf together a few times. He's doing unbelievable now. But when he came on the field, you felt the energy, you felt the presence, always just uplifting guys. Nicknames, handshakes with everybody, just, the ultimate team player. And it's just amazing what somebody with that positive outlook, the high energy does for everybody else around them.
Yes. I'm going to say this, guys, understand this. If you want your team to have high energy, you've got to have high energy. That's the key, guys. If you're not high energy, your team's not going to have it. And you say, well, that's not really my personality. Well, you don't have to go overboard with it, but I'm telling you, you got to have some high energy. I'll give you an example. When I first started this business, somebody would call and I'd answer the phone. I'd go, hey, how are you doing? And they'd go, oh, good. Boy, and I'd tell them, I'm just not having a very good day. It's been, I had Sally Sue call and she just rambled on for 2 hours about nothing and yada, yada, yada. And I was just so mealy-mouthed and I'm wondering why my team's not excited.
Yeah.
I wasn't excited. Then I made that decision, which I told you, you got to make a decision to have high energy. I could even be in a restaurant or a bookstore and my phone ring, obviously I'd have it on quiet, but I'd see my phone rings. It's one of my teammates. I would high step it outside so I could get to my phone and I could say, hey man, Jordan, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Great day, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, my whole attitude changed about how I answered the phone, how I greet people. Today, I greet people with high fives, hugs. I mean, I'm smiling. I want people to feel my energy.
Definitely.
And I think that is such a key. But guys, let's suffice it to say that if you want your team to have high energy, you've got to have high energy. Another one, number 2 on my list, is when you're having a team, there's got to be some fun. And I know when you were at Arizona State, y'all were bending steel rods and all kinds of stuff for team events. Talk just a little bit about that, about having fun with your team.
Definitely. It builds the team chemistry. Again, this is all about culture. And when you're doing stuff outside of just your daily task, for us, like we've talked about on the podcast before, the wake up, lift weights class, practice, then study hall. When you get outside of those, and we would go to, I forget the name of it, Northern Arizona in the mountains for a weekend, and we would do all these team building activities. And we're just out there having a good time. And it's just like those moments build you together, gel you as a team. And again, you perform better when everybody's on the same page and pulling the rope the same way. I've said it twice now. The whole goal of a positive culture is to get everybody on the team excited and pulling the rope the same way. And when you're pulling the rope the same way, you accomplish so much more.
Absolutely. You know, a couple of things you can do just for ideas, guys, is you can have just a get together to watch a ball game at your house. You can meet at a bowling center and bowl with your team. You
Definitely.
can, you know, something that we have done and done a great job of with our team is we have a meeting after the meeting. So let's say we're having a meeting on Tuesday night at 7:00 and we'll do a business overview or whatever. The meeting's over at 8. We'll all run over across the street to a Mexican food joint and just hang out. And I say Mexican food joint because here's the thing you don't want to do. Everybody on your team's at a different place financially. You don't want to go to some high dollar steakhouse and somebody can't go because they can't afford it. So I always told people, let's go to Mexican food joints because they can drink water and eat chips and salsa, if nothing else, and it won't cost them anything. So I think having a meeting after the meeting is a key.
And that's just taking time to invest into your team and learn who they are, learn more about them, and invest time into them.
Perfect. That led right into my next point, which is if people play together, they stay together.
Correct.
I'm talking about your teams. And it is so key to have some fun with your team and not just make it all work. Sure, we want to work hard, but I'll say this, making money's fun. So that makes that good. Celebrating accomplishments with your team, that's fun. But you want to do some, you know, a meeting after the meeting or a bowling party or something just for that, kind of like you guys would do when y'all would go up in the mountains. I mean, it creates that bond that relationships, guys, are a big deal, and relationships will keep people in the business.
Yep.
And it'll keep them going. And the next person they talk to might be the one that changes their life. And you kept them in just by having a bowling party or something. Yep. I mean, I think that's key. Number 3 is learn and grow. Learn and grow. You know, it was funny. Jordan and I were going over the notes here, and I wrote olives on my notes. And Jordan goes, "What does olives have to do with anything?"
Tell me more about olives. I'm not following you here.
Here's my story on olives. When I was young, I didn't like olives. Hated olives. Didn't want to look at them. Didn't want to smell them. Didn't want to nothing. And get this, guys. I had never tasted an olive, but I just didn't like them. I mean, in my mind, I did not like olives. Didn't matter if they were black, green, or purple. I didn't like olives. It was so funny. I finally, and I don't even remember the circumstances why I finally tried one, but I didn't just like olives. I loved olives. Now I eat olives all the time because I finally tried olives. Mm. And you say, well, what does that have to do with what y'all are talking about? I also, after I got out of college, when I was just out of college, personal growth was not something I was into. I'm thinking, I got my degree. I've read all the books I'm ever going to read. I'm done with this personal growth junk.
I've personally grown enough here recently.
I have grown enough. But it's kind of like olives. When somebody convinced me to give it a try, I started trying personal growth. And it was kind of like my olive story. When I started trying it, I loved growing as a person. I loved learning more. I loved becoming more. And that was such a big key in my life. And I know even you went back and finished your degree.
I did. It took me, don't judge here. It took 10 years for me to finish. No, 12 years for me to finish my degree. Now there were how many years of in between there? 2010 to 2018. So 8 years in between whenever I got drafted and by the time I came back. So 4 years in total to finish my degree of active time, but went back and self-growed a little more.
Well, Jim Rohn used to say, and I see the Fisher people out there, they're looking in the window of our studio here. That's why we're waving. Grace, my grandson's waving. I got to wave. Jim Rohn used to say, the book you don't read is not going to help you.
Yeah.
And when I first heard that, I thought, well, yeah, that makes sense. But no, it really makes sense. Yeah. The book you don't read won't help you. The other thing is that if you want more, you must become more. We've talked about that, guys. I mean, we I think on one of our other podcasts, we've talked about that you don't chase success, you attract success by the person you become. So you've got to start growing as a person. Now, get this. People join our team for money. Absolutely. They want to make money, but they stay because of relationships, which we pointed out a minute ago, and personal growth. So, guys, I'm telling you, you got to have, maybe you have we're going to all read this book together and we'll have a call and talk about it at the end of the week or whatever. We've got to get our team into that personal growth because, again, our circumstances are because of our actions, but our actions are because of our thoughts. And if we want to change our circumstances, we got to change our thoughts, which means we've got to learn and grow. That's point number 3. So 1 was have high energy. 2 was have fun. 3 was learn and grow. Number 4, which is a huge one, is recognize accomplishments on your team. My buddy Randy Hedge, and if you haven't checked out Randy Hedge on TikTok, you need to. He always said, babies cry for it and grown men die for it. Yep. And that's recognition. And if you think about it, that's truth. Men in the services will risk their lives for the recognition. And I think a lot of it is because they want to be recognized by their buddies that they were willing to go through and do. And people crave a pat on the back.
Yep.
I mean, it's just they do. And, I know Murph was pretty good at recognizing guys when they would do stuff there at ASU. Can you think of anything where he used to recognize somebody? And, I mean, he was big on effort and stuff like that.
Definitely. Just in team meetings, which, in this business, there's a ton of meetings of just giving somebody a shout out in front of other people. It goes a long way. And you may not know that people want a pat on the back. They may not tell you. It may not look like it, but it is amazing what just recognizing somebody for their efforts and hard work, how far it goes, and just the positive effect it'll have on your culture.
Yeah. And think about this, guys. Recognize the activity you want on your team. And here's what I mean. Let's say, and we all know that you want to show presentations. You want to get the information in front of people. That's how we grow our business. Show the plan, show the plan, show the plan. Well, since that's what we want, then if you're let's just say you're on a team call or a team Zoom, whatever you're on, and you know that Sally has shown 5 plans in the last 2 days, then just real unofficial, just call Sally out and say, Sally, great job. Sally, guys, has shown the presentation 5 times in the last 2 days. And so everybody else is going, oh, my gosh, she got some recognition because she showed the plan. I need to show the plan. And I'm guessing that happens that way in sports, too. When as a player, you realize what the coach wants, you're going to tend to want to gravitate that way because you want to stay on the coach's good side.
You want to stay on the coach's good side. You want to keep getting playing time. So you're gonna do the activities that they're wanting.
Well, I'll say this, and that is big or small, recognize it. And, I'll throw this out there. You've got people on your team that have potential to just kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, kill it. And they haven't done much, but they go get 2 customers. Now, in your mind, you're thinking, my gosh, they should have 100 customers and 100 business partners by now. But they go get 2 customers. Recognize it. Even though they should have done more, even though they got the potential to do so much more, recognize and say something positive about them getting those 2 customers, because you never know. That might be the fuel that gets them going, guys. You just never know what's going to get them going. And then my last one, stay so busy giving out recognition to your team that you don't need it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, again, we all like a pat on the back. I don't care who you are. I love a pat on the back. Jordan loves pats on the back. I mean, Grayson loves pats on the back. We all love pats on the back. But get busy recognizing people, and your need for it will diminish. I'm telling you. So we need to recognize people. That was number 4. Number 5, and this is the one that just will kick you in the shins if you don't watch out. Number 5 is personal sponsoring and producing. You want a team that personally sponsors and personally produces, because here's what happens. And it's happened to all of us. I promise you, it's happened to me. You get 3 or 4 people going and your team's rolling pretty good there, and you just kind of slide back into management mode. So instead of still being on the front line recruiting, what we call phase 1, I call phase 1. That's you're in the trenches. You're getting new people. You're building. You're doing what it takes. We get a few people going, and the team gets going pretty decent there, and we slide into management mode, and we stop doing what got us where we are, and we just started trying to coach and teach and help, and we quit doing what we were doing to be successful. And I think that is so key that this is a monkey see, monkey do business, guys. We, as the leader of our team, and I don't care if you got 1 or 1,000 on your team, doesn't matter. You're the leader of that
Correct.
1 or that 1,000. They're going to follow you. Now, here's something else that I do, and I recommend you do this, and that is if I'm doing a Zoom with a team Zoom, we're doing a team Zoom, say, and I've personally recruited somebody. On that team Zoom, I'll say, hey, Joe Smith right there, I just signed Joe up a couple of days ago, man. Give Joe a little hand there for joining the team. I point out, not because I'm trying to brag, but I'm pointing out that, hey, I got somebody. Are you getting people?
Exactly.
If I'm at a meeting and I've got a couple of guests at the meeting, I'll take them around to my leaders and introduce them and say, here's my guest. Jordan, this is my guest. Sally, this is my guest. Billy Bob. I want you, as one of my leaders, to realize I'm bringing people to the meeting to get them in front of the information. So I think it is key that we are producing. We can't slide into management mode. We've got to stay in what I call phase 1, where we're out recruiting, we're out building, we're out doing. You got to be doing it yourself.
100%, because it just, again, this whole thing is on culture, and we're all pulling the rope the same way. And when they see whoever their upline is working hard and working their butt off, they're going to do the same thing. You don't want to fall behind.
You don't want to fall behind. And it motivates people. I'm telling you guys, you're not bragging, but introduce your new business partners, introduce your guests to your leadership, and let them know that, hey, I'm working. Are you? You know, you don't even have to say, are you? Just say, I'm working. You know, I mean, they see it when you're there. All right. So number 4 was recognize accomplishments. Number 5, we want a culture of personally sponsoring and producing. Number 6, we want to get people promoted up the leadership ladder, guys. You're either moving forward or you're moving backward. There's no such thing as standing still. We talk about goals, and we've talked about goals on our podcast, but I want you to understand that you need to have a goal of hitting that next rank, that next leadership spot on your team. That should be one of your goals, and you should have a date out beside it, because, guys, we got to keep promoting up the ranks. That is a big key, and we can't stagnate.
Yeah.
I say we can't stagnate. We've got to keep moving up that ladder, because that motivates us. And the other thing is, as you move up your company's ladder, you're going to make more money. You're doing the same stuff, but you're making more money. Well, I want to make as much money as I possibly can. You know, our company came up with a new position about, I don't know, it's been over a year ago. My gosh, probably close to a year and 6 months ago. Geez, time flies. Anyway, came up with a new position, and I got with Jeannie, and we talked about it, and I said, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get to that new position. And we'd been blessed to make a lot of money already.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the money was going to make a big difference in our lives, but just I want to show the team that I'm busting it to get there. And it took us 3 or 4 months, but we finally hit that position at the big event. They took us up on stage and obviously recognized us. My team saw that I was promoting. And I talked about not patting myself on the back, hey, I'm in the top spot. None of that. I don't mean that at all. It doesn't matter if you just make it to the second position in your company's ladder. That's where you want to do. We got to teach our team that they've got to be working to move up, because for them to make serious money, you got to keep moving up the leadership ladder. You got to keep ranking up. And I think that's a big deal.
Definitely. And Upline's always there to help with that. You know, I know so many times I see you know, on the phone with somebody, looking in the system, seeing what they need, and then saying, hey, here's a plan on how you get there, and helping your team actually move up the ladder. Not just, if you just tell somebody, hey, you need to move up the ladder, this is your next spot, go out and get them. That's not real productive. But actually helping them, coming up with a plan, saying, hey, you need to personally sponsor, you need to get 3 more people on your team, you need this many customers. You know, if you get this certain type of customer, it's worth more points. Let's try to find some people here that fit in this category, and really helping them get to that next level. It goes a long way.
Well, guys, understand, in networking, Zig Ziglar used to say all the time, if you'll help enough other people get what they want, you can have anything in life you want.
No.
And that is so true. If we get people in our business and we are leading them the right way, and we're moving them up that leadership ladder, they're going to make money. They're going to build a bigger team, which in essence helps us. So, guys, follow Zig's advice. Help enough other people get what they want in life, and you can have anything that you want in life.
Yeah.
All right. Number 7. And there's only 8. So we're coming down the home stretch here. Number 7 is you got to have a culture, guys, of going to events. I think this is overlooked so many times, Jordan, in that people go, I've been to a couple of those, or, my gosh, I'd have to drive 4 hours to get there. I just don't know. I think on our last pod, I told about Kenny Trout and him saying, the reason more people aren't successful is that you're only half in.
Yeah.
And if you're half in, that means you're half out. You got to be all in. And I think if you want your team to explode, get them to the big events that your company is holding. I can tell you, the first big event I went to, it was at the Anatole Hotel here in Dallas. Ballroom would hold 3,000 or 4,000 people, but I can tell you within probably 5 feet of where I was sitting, it made that impact on me, because I was sitting there and I made a decision that I don't want to be sitting out here next year.
Yeah.
I want to be up on that stage next year, getting promoted, being top money earners. That was what was going through my mind while I was sitting there. And it was because I was at the big event. And I'm watching people that look kind of like me walking across that stage. I mean, I'm going, oh my gosh, if they can do it, I can do it. Guys, being at big events is just a massive thing. And you've been to a bunch of them, Jordan.
Definitely. And, it's such a beautiful part of the business. And you've said it before, you're building from event to event, get people there. You can see that, hey, that person's just like me up there. I can do this. And they do such a good job at these big events with creating the excitement, and people leave there, pumped up, ready to rock and roll and ready to kill the business. And it's nice saying, hey, next year, that person, I know them, I can do that.
Yeah. I always say in regard to that, people walk in, but they float out.
Yep.
And I believe that, guys, events are where hope turns to belief. And here's the biggest nugget, I think. It's kind of like, success leaves clues. I don't know of any top earner that doesn't attend the big events.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean with our company. I've been blessed to speak at Eric Worre's events before and got to sit around and talk to the top leaders of a bunch of companies. I don't know of any top leader that doesn't get to their big events. So I'm going to tell you, and I can hear it now, though, Jordan. People are going, well, you just don't know. I don't have a lot of money. Let me say this. When I got involved, we were facing bankruptcy and foreclosure. I understand that. But I also understand this. You can get 4 or 5 people, carpool, might have to drive 8 hours or something to get to the event, but y'all throw in $25 and there's your gas money. You take a couple of sleeping bags and all 5 of you, 6 of you, however many, are just scattered out over a hotel room. And you may even be eating off the dollar menu at fast food joints.
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do, because I look at it this way. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. You got to change that.
Yep.
And getting to the big events is, guys, I'm just going to tell you, I don't make money for people showing up at events, but I'm telling you, if you want to see your business grow, get to the events. I call it a 10X factor. If you've got 10 people at the event, in the next 60 days, that 10 will turn into 100. If you got 100 at that meeting in the next 60 days, chances are that 100 is going to turn into 1,000.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going. The more people you have there, obviously you got to be there, but you want to take as many people as you can. You got to attend the big events. All right. Our last point, be engaged. And I put that down because it's kind of like this. We can be at a church service and not really be at a church service. No. We can be part of a team and not really be part of a team. We can do things where we're really not engaged. If you want to take this to the level that I think a lot of our listeners want to take it to, I'm going to tell you, you got to get in the game. You can't just be standing on the sideline wearing the uniform. That ain't going to get you there. That's not going to get you the big contract in sports, and that ain't going to get you the big money in networking, is just by saying I showed up.
Definitely.
If you're one of those folks that you go to the meetings, you get on the Zooms. but you never have a guest on with you. You never bring anybody with you. Guys, you're fooling yourself. Now, do I have a guest on every Zoom? No. Do I have a guest at every meeting? No. But do I have guests on a lot of them and add a lot of them? Absolutely.
Well,
if you're going months and not getting anybody to look, if you're going months and not getting anybody to show up, you're not really in the game. You're just using it as a social event. And if that's your purpose, that's okay. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you're wanting to make the money, you got to get in the game. You got to get involved. You got to take it to heart. It's not when you get in your company, it's when your company gets in you, and your belief just changes you because you realize I can change my life. I can make something out of my life. I can show my kids and grandkids that somebody with our last name can do something special. When you start getting that feeling and you wake up in the morning with that passion growing, you know you've got there, because guys, it's all about getting into it.
Definitely.
And I'm not saying you got to spend 80 hours a week. Networking is a business where you just fit it into the nooks and crannies. But when you're in your nook and cranny doing it, you got to have that passion. You got to have posture when you're talking to people. You got to get people to look. You got to talk to people about the business. This business is not about ability. It's about action. Well, you open your mouth and say something to somebody. And if you'll get engaged in your business, good things are going to start happening.
Yeah. And it's being present and locked in when you're on these Zooms and at these meetings. It can't be, I'm tired, I'll just go and sit there. Be present, be where your feet are, be locked in, get your 30 minutes to an hour of really trying to learn the business and grow from there. Because if you're just going and, like you're saying, if you're not showing a presentation but once every 2 months and you're going to the meetings and just sitting there with no guests, you're just wasting time.
Amen. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You lead by example. You don't want to be at a meeting, and I saw a guy last night at our meeting sitting there jacking with his phone the whole time. That's not setting the example. You don't want to be, if you're a leader, and I see leaders do this, and I've done it before. I'm not, we've all screwed up some, but you don't want to stand in the back of the room.
Yeah.
You want to get up one of the close rows, and as that presenter, you might have seen that presentation 2,762 times, but you act like it's the first time you've seen it. You're up on the front of your seat, you're nodding, you're giving an amen every once in a while. Guys, it's about being in the game. It's not about just acting like you're in the game. You got to be in the game. Again, you can be standing on the sideline wearing that jersey, but until you get out there and you get a hit or you tackle somebody or you make a three-pointer, you're not really in the game. We've got to get in the game, and if you'll do that, good things will happen. Let's review here real quick, Jordo, and then we'll give it a couple of closing thoughts, and then we'll be done. But again, team culture. Your team culture is going to be by default or design. I'm going to tell you right now, you want to design your team culture. And understand, this won't happen just overnight. You got to do it for a little while, but you can change it. One, have high energy. You got to have high energy. If you want your team to have high energy, you have high energy. Number two, this should be fun. People go to these dead-end jobs, and by the way, 80% of Americans hate what they do. We want to make what we do fun, because if we make it where it's dull and boring, it's no different than their JOB, which stands for just over broke, guys. And they're working for that boss, which is really double SOB spelled backwards. I'm telling you right now, we got to put some excitement in what we do. You got to chuckle out of that one.
That's a good one. I like that.
So we got to have some fun. Number three, you got to learn and grow. I think one of my biggest keys to success is I started reading books, I started watching personal growth giants, and I started running with winners. Do that, guys, and good things will happen. Number four, we got to have a culture of recognizing accomplishments. And I don't care if it's a little accomplishment or a big accomplishment, we recognize it, guys. That's what drives people. Everybody wants a pat on the back. Number five, personally sponsoring and producing. In other words, stay in phase one, guys. We've got to stay where we're still doing it. Don't slide into management mode. If all of a sudden your team's growing and all you're doing is coaching and training and patting them on the back, but you're not doing what you did to get there, you're in management mode, guys. If you're not personally showing that plan, you're in management mode. We can't do that. Stay in phase one. Promoting. We got to promote. We got to get people promoted. We got to have a team where our culture is we move to the next level. If you're on our team, you move to the next level. That's what we've got to be focused on. And my gosh, write it as one of your goals, put a date on it, and let's start working to get promoted. Number 7 was go to events. We got to have a culture of going to events, guys. I don't know of any top money earner that doesn't show up at big events. That is a clue to me. So get to the big events. Talk to your team about getting to the big events. I'm telling you, it's huge. And then the last point that we just covered was you got to be engaged. You got to get in the game and not just kind of act like you're in the game. You got to get out on the field, guys. Show up, be engaged, sit on the front row, show by example, lead by example.
Definitely. And go over the books again. Obviously, this is all about self-growth, network marketing. Presley has written 2 amazing books. All profits go to charity on this deal, but it's just a great way to, if you're getting into networking or have been into networking, learning success tips, or if you, into personal growth, you got 2 options.
Yes. I never wanted anybody to think I was trying to fleece the flock. So any money that I make goes to charity, guys. So understand, I'm not trying to make money off books. I make money off my business. So my first book is Millionaire by Halftime, How to Win with Network Marketing. This is just everything that I know about network marketing. And I think it teaches people how to be a good networker. Because, you don't just start out as a great networker. You start out terrible like I did, but you got to get in the game, and then you eventually have that chance to be a good networker. And then the other one is this personal growth. It's be, do, and have more. And we're also working on a workbook to go with this that we should have out in the next couple of weeks, probably next month anyway. So I'm excited about that. But again, the money that comes in from this, any profits we make, it goes to charity, guys.
And then one more thing exciting, we should have let off with this, and we'll do it on our next episode, on episode 6, but we're about to launch a website.
Yes.
Which should be end of this week, next week, at some point in time. The residualearners.com, where you'll be able to find Presley, find me, any information on us, find the podcast videos, some stuff on some products that are associated with our company as well, that we're excited about, and really excited to get that website launched and start talking to more people.
Amen. Jeez, we're actually getting a lot accomplished, brother.
We're doing things. We're podcasters now.
We're podcasters.
Life has changed.
Yeah, we're going to be big time one of these days, huh?
Yeah, we'll get there.
All those sponsors will be calling us, wanting to sponsor us and all that stuff.
Exactly. Huh? For now, we sponsor ourselves, but we'll get to sponsorships down the road.
Well, guys, we hope we added some value to your day. The stuff I went over is stuff that is near and dear to my heart, near and dear to Jordan's heart, and we just want to help you any way that we possibly can, guys. And we thank you for tuning in. You want to give our a plug for our YouTube channel and stuff again?
Yeah, if you haven't already, follow us, subscribe on the Residual Earners channel on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a follow. If you're listening, on a podcast somewhere on Apple, Spotify, whatever, check us out on YouTube. That's where all of our videos go up there. You can catch anything new coming up. Everything's on there, or Instagram, TikTok. We're trying to get a lot of stuff out there for everyone.
And apparently we're getting a lot going.
We're getting something going.
Amen. Well, guys, God bless you. We love you. We'll look forward to seeing you on our next podcast.
Yes. Thank you.